My friends, hear me today. The greatest battles of life are not fought on fields with guns and bombs. They are fought in the quiet chambers of your heart, in the deep valleys of your mind. And in those battles, the strongest weapon you will ever carry is yourself. You see, history is not written by people who had perfect conditions. It is written by ordinary men and women who decided that their lives would not be defined by fear, by failure, or by excuses. Think about the single mother working 2 jobs, yet still finding time to teach her children hope. Think about the student who studies by candlelight, dreaming of becoming a doctor, refusing to let poverty silence their destiny. These are not superheroes. These are ordinary people who discovered the extraordinary weapon within themselves. Life will test you. The winds of disappointment will try to break you. Friends may walk away, and doors may close in your face. But remember, perseverance is the language of champions. Change begins the moment you decide, I will no longer wait for circumstances to define me. I will rise, I will fight, I will believe. We must stop waiting for the world to hand us answers. Your gift, your mind, your heart, your will, these are the tools given to you by God Himself. And when you activate them, no system, no circumstance, no critic can stop you. So I call on you today, stand tall. Take responsibility for your life. Believe in the vision planted within you. For nations do not rise without men and women who first rise within themselves. The future is not in the hands of the powerful. It is in the hands of the purposeful. And if you feel weak, remember this truth: a seed is small, fragile, buried in the dark. But inside that seed is a tree that can split concrete. Inside of you is that same power. So march forward with courage. Lift your head with dignity. Walk into tomorrow with faith, because the strongest weapon against failure, against fear, against doubt is not out there. It is here. And I leave you with this: you are not waiting on the future. The future is waiting on you. The strongest weapon is yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me today. The greatest battles you will ever fight in life are not the ones people can see. They are not the struggles with your neighbor, your co-worker, or even your enemies. No, the greatest battles are fought in silence. They are waged within the walls of your own mind and the chambers of your own heart. And these battles are far more dangerous, far more powerful than anything the world can throw at you. Think about it. Nations have risen and fallen not just because of armies on the battlefield, but because of leaders who either conquered their inner fears or surrendered to them. Men and women have achieved greatness, not because the world opened doors for them, but because they opened doors inside themselves. The truth is this: before you can win outside, you must first win inside. Every day you wake up, the fight begins. The moment your eyes open, thoughts rush in, thoughts of fear, doubt, and insecurity. That voice whispers, you are not enough. You can't do it. Why even try? Have you ever heard that voice? Of course you have. Every human being has. And here's the reality: some listen to that voice and bow down to it, while others rise up and answer back, I am more than enough. I am able. I will not quit. That decision, my friends, that private battle determines the entire course of your life. Let me bring it closer to you. A soldier may carry the sharpest sword, but if he loses courage in his heart, the weapon is useless. A student may hold the best books, but if she believes she is too poor, too unworthy, too small, the knowledge in those books will never be applied. A businessman may have opportunities knocking at his door, but if he is imprisoned by fear of failure, he will never step into them. The real prison is not iron bars. The real prison is the mindset that tells you, you can't break free. This is why some people with little resources, little education, and little support still climb mountains that others with everything could not even attempt. Because the battle was never about what they had in their hands, but what they carried in their hearts. Understand this: the inner battle is relentless. It is not fought once, it is fought daily. You conquer fear today, and tomorrow it tries to rise again. You silence doubt in the morning, and by evening it knocks on the door of your soul once more. That is why you must arm yourself with discipline, with faith, and with determination. You must learn to speak to yourself louder than the voice of fear, because the one who wins the inner conversation wins the outer war. I recall a young boy growing up in poverty with nothing but torn shoes and big dreams. He was mocked, told that no one from his background could make it. At night he would cry, not because of the hunger in his stomach, but because of the voices in his head telling him he would never escape. But one night, he decided that if the battle was in his mind, then the victory also had to start in his mind. He began to speak words of life over himself, to imagine a future brighter than his circumstances, to tell himself, I am not what I see, I am what I believe. That boy grew into a man who transformed not just his life, but the lives of thousands because he first conquered the invisible enemy within. My friend, your life will not be measured by the number of obstacles outside of you. It will be measured by the battles you fought and won within yourself. Depression, anxiety, insecurity, these are real enemies, but they are not unbeatable. Doubt, fear, procrastination, yes, they come to all of us, but they are not stronger than you. The reason they seem powerful is because they live closest to your heart. But hear me, the very fact that they live inside also means you have the authority to drive them out. Every giant you see on the outside is only a reflection of a giant you are already battling on the inside. If you conquer the inner giant of fear, the outer challenges lose their power. If you defeat the giant of doubt, opportunities suddenly look possible. If you silence the giant of insecurity, you begin to walk with confidence that attracts doors you never imagined. This is why success is not about what you own, but what you overcome. Wealth may give you comfort, but it will not silence insecurity. Fame may give you applause, but it will not destroy fear. True victory, lasting victory, eternal victory is found only when you have mastered the war inside your soul. Let me remind you of something powerful today. The world has never been moved forward by superheroes. It has always been advanced by ordinary people who chose to believe that their lives could matter. The men and women who shaped history were not born with crowns on their heads or wealth in their hands. They were ordinary, just like you, just like me. But what set them apart was a decision to rise above the excuses, the limitations, and the doubts that told them they were too small. Think about it. The greatest leaders we read about, the pioneers, the inventors, the reformers, they all started as ordinary people. They were born into families that were sometimes poor, sometimes broken, sometimes ignored. Some of them had no education, no resources, and no recognition. But what they did have was belief. They believed that within their ordinary lives lay extraordinary possibilities. Look at the farmer who plants a seed. To anyone else, it's just dirt, sweat, and patience. But he knows something others do not see. He knows that from a small, ordinary seed comes a harvest that can feed nations. In the same way, your life may look small right now. It may look insignificant. You may feel like just another face in the crowd. But if you dare to plant the seed of persistence, of faith, of courage, you will discover fruit that not only feeds your future, but also nourishes generations after you. There is a story of a woman who cleaned houses to support her family. Day after day, her hands were raw, her back bent, her wages barely enough to survive. Yet in her heart, she carried a vision. She refused to let her children believe that life would always be like this. She told them stories of a future filled with possibilities. She encouraged them to study, to dream, to never bow to the limits of their circumstances. Years later, her son became a leader in his community, respected and honored. And when they asked him what inspired him, he didn't talk about wealth or power. He said, "It was my mother, an ordinary woman who believed extraordinary things for me. That is the secret. Extraordinary is not a birthright. Extraordinary is a choice, and it is a choice that ordinary people make every single day. You may not have money, but you can choose persistence. You may not have recognition, but you can choose consistency. You may not have a platform, but you can choose faith. And those choices made in the silence of ordinary days create futures that echo across history." Let me take you further. Every great invention you admire today, electricity, airplanes, medicine technology, was born in the mind of someone who looked just as ordinary as everyone else around them. What separated them was not appearance, not privilege, not background. It was the courage to see possibility where others saw impossibility. Thomas Edison, the man who gave us the light bulb, failed thousands of times before succeeding. Thousands of times he looked like an ordinary man wasting his time. But he refused to see failure as final. He saw it as feedback. And because of that mindset, he gave light to the world. And let us not forget Rosa Parks, an ordinary woman who sat on a bus and said, "No more." She had no army, no weapons, no wealth, just courage. Yet that one act of courage lit a fire of freedom across nations. Ordinary woman, extraordinary change. The lesson is clear. Greatness does not start in palaces. It starts in the small places, the unnoticed places, the ordinary places, the kitchen table, the quiet corner, the hidden prayer, the lonely decision, the silent tear. These are the places where extraordinary futures are born. So if today you feel unseen, if you feel ordinary, if you feel like your life is too simple to matter, hear this: you are exactly the kind of person history is waiting for. Because extraordinary is not about how you start, it's about how you choose to finish. And every finish begins with one decision made in the middle of an ordinary life. Every dream, every vision, Every breakthrough you admire in life has a story of perseverance behind it. Nothing worth having is ever handed easily, and nothing truly lasting is ever built without responsibility. The truth is this: perseverance and personal responsibility are the two keys that unlock change. Without them, life remains the same. With them, doors begin to open, paths begin to clear, and destinies begin to unfold. Perseverance is that inner strength that refuses to bow when life gets heavy. It is the stubborn decision to keep moving when everything in you wants to quit. You see, quitting is easy. Anyone can give up. Anyone can stop when it hurts. But perseverance says, I will endure the storm because I know there is sunshine on the other side. Think about a runner in a long, exhausting race. The legs grow weak, the lungs burn, the body screams to stop. But the runner who perseveres pushes one more step, then another, and then another. And when the finish line finally appears, it is not just victory over the race, it is victory over themselves. That is what perseverance does. It teaches you that you are stronger than your feelings, stronger than your pain, stronger than your fear. But perseverance alone is not enough. It must be joined with personal responsibility. Responsibility means refusing to wait for others to rescue you, refusing to point fingers at the government, at your family, at society. Responsibility means saying, if change is to happen, too many lives are trapped in the cage of excuses. Excuses are easy to make. I was not given the chance. I was born in the wrong place. I have no support. But hear me, excuses may explain your situation, but they cannot transform it. Transformation begins when you stop blaming and start building. It begins when you take ownership of your choices, your actions, your discipline. I remember a young man who grew up in a broken neighborhood. Violence was everywhere, opportunities were nowhere. His friends joined gangs, some ended up in prison, others lost their lives too soon. He could have said, this is my fate, this is all there is for me. But instead, he took responsibility. He said, I cannot control where I was born, but I can control where I am going. He studied at night, worked during the day, saved every dollar he could. Years later, he built a business that employed others from that same neighborhood, creating opportunities where there once were none. His secret was not luck, it was perseverance and responsibility. These two keys go hand in hand. Perseverance keeps you moving even when the road is rough. Responsibility keeps you accountable, reminding you that no one else can walk this journey for you. Together, they create momentum that no obstacle can permanently stop. Look at the stories of every great movement in history. Civil rights, independence struggles, revolutions for justice. None of them happened overnight. They were won through perseverance, when people marched again and again despite being beaten down. And they were sustained by responsibility, when individuals said, we must be the change we seek. The combination of these two forces is unstoppable. Even in your personal life, the same principle applies. A marriage survives not because love feels easy every day, but because partners persevere and take responsibility for their actions. A career grows not because opportunities fall into your lap, but because you persevere through rejection and take responsibility for sharpening your skills. A dream comes alive not because someone else believes in you, but because you persevere when no one does and take responsibility for believing in yourself. Perseverance is not glamorous. Responsibility is not always popular. But together, they shape character, and character is what sustains success when you finally reach it. There will be nights when you want to give up. There will be mornings when the burden feels too heavy. There will be moments when you cry out, why me? And in those moments, you must remind yourself perseverance is the bridge to tomorrow, and responsibility is the anchor that keeps you steady as you cross it. The world does not change simply because we wish it to. It changes when ordinary people persevere through hardship and take responsibility for their choices. That is the soil in which change grows. That is the foundation on which destiny is built. Inside every human being is a deposit of greatness, a gift, a unique ability, something that was placed within you before you even knew your own name. And this gift, my friend, is not random. It is not accidental. It is the very weapon designed to help you fight through life's challenges and fulfill your destiny. Your gifts are your greatest weapons, and until you discover them, you will always feel as though you are fighting unarmed. The tragedy of life is not death. The tragedy of life is living and never discovering what was placed inside of you. Too many people walk through this world comparing themselves to others, wishing they had someone else's talent, someone else's opportunity, someone else's path. But what they don't realize is that comparison blinds you to the weapon God has already placed in your hands. Think about David, a shepherd boy who stood before a giant. He didn't have the armor of a soldier. He didn't have the training of a warrior. What he had was a sling, an ordinary tool he had mastered in the fields while protecting sheep. To the world, it looked insignificant. But in his hands, that sling was a weapon of destiny. The giant fell not because David borrowed someone else's gift, but because he used his own. That is the power of embracing your gift. It may look small. It may look ordinary. It may even look laughable to others. But when you sharpen it, when you believe in it, when you wield it with confidence, it can bring down the giants in your life. Your gift is not just about talent. It is the thing you do with ease that others struggle with. It is the thing that brings you joy, that sparks passion, that makes time disappear when you're doing it. For some, it's the ability to create with their hands. For others, it's the power of words. For some, it's compassion for people. For others, it's a vision for business. These gifts are weapons because they give you a way to contribute to the world, to create value, to rise above circumstances. But here is the truth. Gifts do not sharpen themselves. A weapon unused will rust. A gift ignored will wither. It is your responsibility to refine what you've been given. You must study, practice, train, and discipline yourself until your gift becomes powerful enough to open doors. Because doors do not open for people who simply wish. They open for people who prepare. I once met a young woman who dreamed of becoming a singer. She had a beautiful voice, but she never practiced, never studied music, never stretched her potential. And when opportunities came, she wasn't ready. Contrast that with another woman I knew who didn't have the strongest voice, but she trained, she worked, she gave her all. Over time, her gift made her extraordinary, and doors opened for her that no one expected. The difference was not talent. The difference was responsibility. She understood that gifts are not magic. They are weapons that must be sharpened. Your gift will also attract resistance. The moment you begin to use it, critics will rise. Some will laugh, some will doubt, some will even oppose you. But understand this resistance is proof of value. No one fights against something worthless. When you feel opposition, it is often confirmation that your gift is dangerous to mediocrity. So do not hide it, do not bury it, do not silence it. Use it boldly. And here is another secret. Your gift is not just for you. Weapons are never meant to sit in storage. They are meant to defend, to protect, to build. Your gift was given to you, but it was given for others. When you use your gift, you don't just fight your own battles. You inspire others to discover theirs. A teacher who uses her gift to educate is shaping generations. An inventor who uses his gift to innovate is creating opportunities for countless others. A leader who uses his gift to serve is opening pathways for communities to rise. The mistake many people make is waiting for permission to use their gift. They wait for someone to recognize them, to validate them, to open a stage for them. But your gift does not need permission. It needs expression. If you are faithful with it in small places, it will grow. If you are consistent with it in hidden places, it will shine. The world will eventually notice what cannot be ignored. Remember, the strongest weapons are often disguised in weakness. A pen looks small, but in the hand of a writer, it can shape nations. A voice looks fragile, but in the mouth of a leader, it can awaken generations. A simple idea may look insignificant, but when nurtured, it can change the entire course of history. Your gift may look ordinary, but in the right season, with the right preparation, it will prove extraordinary. The future is not some faraway land that only the powerful can touch. The future is not something reserved for the rich, the famous, or the privileged. The future is waiting on you. It is not in the hands of chance. It is not in the control of luck. It is waiting patiently for you to step into it with courage and responsibility. Every day you live is a page in the book of tomorrow. What you choose today writes the story you will read tomorrow. And yet, so many people spend their lives waiting for the future to somehow arrive fully formed, like a gift wrapped at their doorstep. But the truth is, the future is not delivered, it is built. And the builder is you. Look around you. Every building you see, every invention you use, every freedom you enjoy, it exists because someone before you decided that the future could not wait. Someone chose to believe that what they carried inside was powerful enough to shape the days ahead. They did not sit back hoping life would change. They stood up, took action, and became the change. Think of the farmer again. He knows he cannot harvest tomorrow if he does not plant today. The future of his harvest is waiting on the seed in his hand. In the same way, your future is waiting on the seeds you are willing to plant now. Seeds of discipline, seeds of learning, seeds of courage, seeds of faith. If you do not sow them, do not expect to reap them. I once spoke with a young man who told me, "One day I will make a difference." I asked him, "When is one day?" He had no answer. He was waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions. But listen carefully, there is no perfect day to begin. There is only today. And when you act today, you give birth to tomorrow. The future is not waiting on time. The future is waiting on you. Some of you are waiting for someone else to open the door for you. You are waiting for permission, for approval, for recognition. But destiny is not unlocked by the keys of others. It is unlocked by the decisions you make. If you do not move, the future remains still. If you do not speak, the future remains silent. If you do not act, the future remains a dream. Throughout history, the greatest breakthroughs came from people who understood that the future does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who prepare. Nations were built because ordinary men and women decided to build schools, to fight for justice, to create systems that outlived them. They were not superhuman. They simply refused to let the future slip away unused. Let me make it even closer. The kind of parent you will become, the kind of leader you will be, the kind of impact you will leave, it is not determined by fate. It is being determined right now by the habits you are forming, the choices you are making, the discipline you are living. If you want a strong family tomorrow, you must invest in love and integrity today. If you want financial freedom tomorrow, you must practice responsibility and stewardship today. If you want to leave a legacy tomorrow, you must begin to live with purpose today. And I must tell you the truth, the future is not neutral. If you do not shape it, someone else will. If you do not plant good seeds, weeds will grow on their own. If you do not rise, the future will be written by those who did. That is why passivity is dangerous. It hands your future into the hands of others. But when you step up, when you decide, this is my time, this is my responsibility, you reclaim the pen that writes your tomorrow. Even the smallest action today can ripple into generations. A word of encouragement to a child, a simple act of honesty in business, a single step of courage in the face of fear. These things seem small, but they are seeds. And seeds never stay small. They multiply, they grow, they bear fruit long after you are gone. The future is not just about technology, wealth, or innovation. The future is about people who refuse to waste the gift of time. People who rise from ordinary beginnings and decide to make extraordinary choices. People who know that destiny is not discovered in the distance. It is created in the decisions of now. My friends, we have walked through a journey together. We have seen that the greatest battles are not fought on the outside, but within. We have seen that ordinary people, people just like you, can rise and do extraordinary things when they refuse to surrender. We have discovered that perseverance and personal responsibility are not options, but the very keys to lasting change. We have been reminded that your gifts, those unique treasures placed within you, are your greatest weapons against fear, against failure, against mediocrity. And we have declared that the future is not waiting on chance, nor on others. It is waiting on you. So now the question is not whether the world can change. The question is whether you will rise to your moment, whether you will take what has been placed inside of you and use it to impact generations, whether you will stop waiting, stop doubting, stop holding back, and begin to fight the greatest battle with the strongest weapon, yourself. The time is not tomorrow. The time is not one day. The time is now. And the answer is you.